I arrived holding a suitcase in one hand and a gift bag in the other. The house was quiet, too quiet for December 23rd. There was no smell of cinnamon candles, no Nat King Cole playing from Mom's Bluetooth speaker, just silence. Then the front door opened. "Oh, Evelyn, you're early," Mom said. She stepped aside to let me in, but didn't give me a hug. Inside, I saw several new, matching suitcases already in the hallway, 4 of them. I heard my sister Sierra's voice coming from the kitchen. "Can you believe the resort has its own butler service? Mark looked it up. They even press your clothes." I stood in the doorway, not fully inside yet. My chest felt tight, though I didn't know exactly why. I had spent the last 3 months working 2 jobs just to pay for this trip, a cafe in the mornings and the campus library at night. I packed my own lunches, skipped haircuts, and sent Sierra the full $3,000 in early November, just like she asked. Then Dad came out of the living room, clearing his throat like he always does before saying something uncomfortable. "Pumpkin," he said, "can we talk before dinner?" They sat me at the kitchen table. A small holiday decoration with fake candles flickered between us like it was trying to make things feel okay. Sierra smiled at me with that soft, fake smile she's had since we were kids. "There's been a change of plans," she said. "The cafe isn't doing as well as we thought, so Mom, Dad, Mark, and I decided it's best if you don't come on the trip. The money's already been used to pay for everything." I looked at them. They looked back at me like they were doing me a favor. But it didn't feel like one. It wasn't the first time I'd been left out, not really. When Sierra won her 10th grade debate competition, Mom made a big cake and t-shirts that said, "Future Senator." When I got the lead in our middle school play, Mom clapped politely and left halfway through because Sierra needed help with a school paper. Sierra was always more important. She was 5 years older, taller, and in my parents' eyes, better. She was the leader. I was the quiet one. She spoke up. I stayed out of the way. At first, it didn't hurt too much. You tell yourself your time will come. But it never did. When I was 13, Sierra left for college on the East Coast. I stood on the porch waving goodbye, thinking maybe now I'd finally matter more. I was wrong. Sierra called every day. Her voice filled the kitchen through speakerphone while Mom cooked. Dad got excited hearing about her business classes and competitions. "She's got that Carter drive," he'd say proudly, like she got it from him. When Sierra visited, I had to move my homework aside so she could use the table for her laptop during dinner. Eventually, I stopped sitting at the table. No one noticed. Except Grandpa Walter. He lived 2 houses away in an old house with a creaky porch and faded blue shutters. It smelled like pipe smoke and old books. It smelled like someone actually lived there and remembered things. When home got too loud, not loud in sound, but loud in feeling, I'd sneak out the back and go to Grandpa's house. He never made a big deal about it. He'd just move over on the couch and hand me the remote. "Roman holiday or Casablanca?" he'd ask. There was always mint chocolate chip ice cream in the freezer. We'd eat it straight from the tub, 1 spoon each, no talking needed. Sometimes we played chess, listened to jazz, or just sat on the back deck watching the sky change. "You don't need the spotlight, Evelyn," he told me once. "People think that's where greatness is, but sometimes the best people stay just outside of it, until it really matters." He never said Sierra's name. He didn't have to. When I turned 16, he taught me how to drive. When I lost the student council election, he gave me a paint set and said, "You can create your own picture." And on really bad days, like when Mom forgot to pick me up from practice because Sierra needed help, he didn't say anything. He'd just hand me a soda and slide a comic book across the table. Sometimes, silence is the loudest kind of love. I started to wonder, if my parents only noticed me when Sierra wasn't around, was that really love? I kept waiting for them to see me. They never did. When I got accepted to UC Berkeley with a partial scholarship, Mom casually told the neighbors, but only after showing them Sierra's startup video. But Grandpa took me out for a steak dinner, just the 2 of us. He raised a glass of apple cider and said, "You're not following someone else's path, you're making your own." I didn't cry then, but I remember holding that glass too tightly, hoping his words would stay with me longer. I left for college with 2 bags, a used laptop, and a heart that felt split in 2, half full of hope, and half full of all the things I never said. Grandpa Walter passed away during my first spring in college. He died in his sleep. No warning, no goodbye. I found out through a voicemail. Mom's voice shook, but she didn't sound heartbroken. "He's gone, Evelyn. I thought you should know." The funeral was small and quiet. Sierra wore expensive black and didn't cry. Mark stood nearby, silent as usual, always watching. After the service, we went to the lawyer's office for the will. The room smelled like old carpet and wood polish. I sat at the end of the table, not sure if I even belonged there. "To my daughter, Elaine," the lawyer read. I leave $50,000. Mom smiled and squeezed Dad's hand, her eyes a little misty. To my granddaughter, Sierra Carter, I leave $300,000. Sierra lit up like she'd just won a prize. Baby, she whispered to Mark, we can finally open the second cafe. Then she looked at me, not to wonder what I'd get, but to confirm I wouldn't get anything. I kept my eyes forward. And to my granddaughter, Evelyn Carter, the lawyer continued, I leave my home in Evergreen, Colorado, including everything inside and the land around it. The room went silent. Then Sierra laughed, not in a mean way, more like she found it funny, like a kid winning a toy by accident. Oh my God, you got the house, she said, grinning, that's hilarious. Mark chuckled beside her. Hey, maybe you can sell it and get a decent car, if the place doesn't fall down first. Mom gently told her to be nice, but she never stopped smiling at Sierra. They moved on quickly, already talking about wedding plans and wine options. I sat there quietly, trying to hear Grandpa's voice in my mind. I wanted to believe he gave me the house because it meant something, not because it was all that was left. The house wasn't worth a lot of money, but it held jazz records, chipped teacups, books with notes in the margins, and a porch swing that knew exactly how I sat. It was the only place I'd ever felt fully seen. It all began with dinner. Like many things in my family, I had come home for a weekend between finals. There was roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and candles on the table. The good dishes were out. That only meant one thing, Sierra had news. She waited until dessert. We've been thinking, she said, swirling her wine like she was older and more important than she was. Now that we're focusing on growing the cafe, Mark and I think it makes sense to move into Evergreen. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. She meant Grandpa's house. My house. I opened my mouth, ready to speak, but Mom beat me to it. Honey, it's perfect timing. You're away at college most of the time, and Sierra and Mark could really use the space, Mom said. I waited for her to ask what I thought. She didn't. Dad nodded. They're responsible, they'll take care of it. Sierra put her glass down with a dramatic pause. And of course, she said, we're family. You're not seriously thinking of charging us rent, are you? Everyone laughed. I didn't. I had done the math, property taxes, repairs, bills, the house might be mine, but keeping it wasn't free. I was thinking of renting it out, I said, quietly. The room went silent. Mom gave that disappointed sigh she used when I brought home a B instead of an A. Oh, sweetie, why let strangers into Grandpa's home? Family comes first. Mark focused on his food. Sierra smiled, not at me, through me, like I wasn't even there. That night, I lay in my old bed, listening to the pipes creak, wondering how something could legally belong to me, but still not feel like it was mine. I could have said no, told them to find another place. But what difference would it make? They wouldn't listen, they never had. So I buried myself in work. Morning shift at the campus cafe, 3 classes, 2 labs, library job till midnight. No parties, sold old textbooks, skipped birthdays. Every time I felt like giving up, I pictured myself on the beach with them in St. Bart's. In early November, Sierra texted me, we're finalizing bookings, need your share today to lock it in. I sent her $3,000 that afternoon, everything I had. It felt worth it. I even looked at swimsuits online, found a navy one-piece on sale. My roommate, Lisa, let me borrow her nice suitcase, the one with working wheels. By December 23rd, I was packed early, excited. But something felt off the second I walked into my parents' house. The lights were on, but it didn't feel welcoming. Dinner was quiet. Sierra and Mark showed up late, their coats smelled like fake pine and hotel lobbies. At the table, Mom passed around rolls like it was just any normal dinner. Then Sierra cleared her throat. We need to talk, she said. Mark didn't look up. Dad sighed like he'd rehearsed it. The cafe isn't doing great, Sierra said. Money's tighter than expected, so we all agreed, you should skip the trip this time. I froze. But I paid. Yes, she said, smiling like she did when I lost that student election in 9th grade. That helped a lot with the deposits. Thank you. You used my money? It's still going toward the trip, she said. You'll have the house to yourself. Quiet, time to catch up on reading. Mom touched my arm like that made it okay. Family means being flexible, Evelyn. But is it really family if I'm always the one expected to bend? Nobody said anything else, not about the money, not about me. After dinner, Sierra went upstairs to pack. I stayed at the table, staring at the candles as they burned down, wax sliding like it was trying not to cry. On Christmas morning, I smiled. I stood on the porch with my coat buttoned and suitcase ready. They were loading their bags into two big black SUVs, matching tux, new sunglasses, everything looked expensive. "You've got the keys, right?" Mom asked. I nodded. "Water the plants, check the mail. Turn off the porch lights before bed," Dad added. Sierra leaned out the window. "We'll send photos, don't feel left out." She laughed like it was a joke. I smiled and waved. They didn't look back. As soon as the SUVs turned the corner, I went back inside. Not their house. My house. Evergreen was still and snowy. Inside, it was warm, but didn't feel right. Sierra's things were everywhere. Her designer coats in Grandpa's closet. Mark's shaving kit in the bathroom. Their wedding photo where Grandpa's chessboard used to sit. I stood still for a moment, letting the quiet come back. Then I moved. First, the bedroom. I packed their clothes, shoes, skincare into boxes. Next, the kitchen, espresso machine, fancy olive oil, hers mugs. I didn't break anything, didn't yell. I just quietly removed them, like guests who had stayed too long. In Grandpa's study, I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in years. Inside was an old photo. Me and him, fishing at the lake, lines tangled, both of us laughing like nothing else mattered. On the back, in his handwriting, "To Evelyn, the quiet ones always come back stronger." I placed the photo on the mantel where it used to hang. Then I called a moving company, paid extra for a same-day job. They came, no questions asked. By sunset, everything was packed and gone. Last step, the locksmith. He was an older man, kind eyes. "Rough Christmas?" he asked. I smiled. "Just long overdue." He changed every lock, handed me the new keys. I didn't celebrate, didn't call anyone. I just sat in Grandpa's old chair, pulled his quilt over my legs, and listened as the floor creaked beneath only my weight. The first message came at 9:12 a.m. Then 5 more. Then 10. Then 50. By noon, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Mom. Dad. Sierra. Even Mark. "Mom, Evelyn, what's going on? Everything's gone. Please tell me this is a mistake. You've gone too far." "Sierra, are you serious? You had no right. What did you do with our stuff?" "Mark, the keys don't work. Did you change the locks? You can't just kick out family." Each message felt like a buzzing bug I couldn't squash. I didn't reply, not yet. By evening, I had 83 missed calls. The last one said, "Mom." I answered. She didn't wait. "Evelyn, what is wrong with you?" Dad's voice jumped in. "You changed the locks without telling us." I sat in Grandpa's old chair, phone in hand. "Let me talk," I said. They went quiet, probably surprised. "Just this once," I added, "let me finish." Still silence. "You took my money," I said, $3,000 I earned working before sunrise and studying past midnight, and you spent it on your vacation. You let Sierra and Mark live in my house for free, without asking me. You made choices about my life like I wasn't even there, like I never am. I paused. "And when I finally did something, not even shouting, just acting, you act like I burned the whole family down." Mom tried to speak. "That's not." "No, let me finish." I took a breath. "You always said family means sacrifice, but I was the only one expected to give anything up. They can live with you, or find their own place. But the house, that was Grandpa's gift. And for once, I'm keeping something that's mine." The silence that followed was the most honest thing we'd ever shared. Dad finally said, cold and sharp, "I hope you're proud of yourself." I looked at Grandpa's photo on the mantel, him, smiling with his arm around me. "I think someone would be." Then I hung up. Turned off my phone. Let the quiet fill the room. Not empty. Just finally mine. That was a year ago. Now I'm in my last semester of college. I graduate in May. I don't live in the house anymore. It's a rental now. I hired a property manager. A retired teacher and her husband live there, with a golden retriever and an herb garden. They send me postcards sometimes. The rent pays for taxes and insurance, and I even save some each month. No one ever taught me how to do that. But maybe Grandpa hoped I'd figure it out. Sierra's cafe closed 6 months ago. She blamed the economy, then the building, then her business partners. She and Mark moved back in with my parents. Into the guest room that used to be mine. They tried to call, once or twice. Mom sent a long email about healing. Dad forwarded a meme about forgiveness. Sierra posted a photo that said, "Some people just don't understand family." I didn't answer. I don't need to explain myself, not anymore. Some nights, when it's quiet and I leave the window open a bit, I think of Grandpa's house. I think of how the porch swing made that loud creak. Or how his old jazz records always crackled before they played. And how he never once made me feel like I wasn't enough. He never called me the quiet one, never Sierra's little sister. Just Evelyn. Maybe they'll never understand why I did it. Maybe they don't even believe they hurt me. But here's what I do know. I didn't need their permission to take my life back. I didn't need their apology to speak up. And I don't need their love to know I matter. Above my desk, I keep the photo of me and Grandpa on the lake. Fishing lines tangled, both of us laughing. On the back, I wrote, "Still here. Still quiet. Still mine." I didn't get revenge. I took back what was mine. And that was enough. If you've ever only been heard through silence, just leave a dot. Someone like you will understand.